Okay.
Okay. And it is 3:30. Go ahead and take us, Miss Lydia, live.
Yes, sir. We're live.
Okay. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our Tuesday, September the 29th agenda session. I now call this meeting to order. Could I have approval of the minutes, please?
So moved.
All right. I have a motion and a second to approve. The minutes can stand as read. Madam Clerk, let's see, we've got a couple of items on final reading. Council, do you have any questions about ordinances on final reading this afternoon? All of them have to do with our finance. Any questions or concerns before we move on under final reading? Okay, I'm seeing no hands at this time. All right, we'll move down to resolutions. Madam Clerk, 7H, please.
A resolution authorizing the city finance officer to execute any and all documents necessary related to a loan agreement with the Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation, TDEC, SRF 2020-440 for financing and capital construction project required by the consent decree for the Interceptor sewer system in the amount of $15 million.
Okay, questions or comments? All right, Madam Clerk, aye, please.
A resolution authorizing the interim treasurer to renew the contract with SunTrust, now doing business as Truist Bank, for commercial and general bank services, including purchasing cards and safekeeping and custodial accounts for the third and final one-year renewal period ending June 30th, 2021, for an estimated amount of $15,000.
All right. Questions? Jay, please.
A resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an interlocal agreement with the Electric Power Board whereby the city agrees to contribute $1.5 million in support of the Hamilton County EdConnect initiative.
All right. Any questions? If not. All right, council, if you would pull up your purchases for this afternoon and let me know if you have any questions concerning items that are on our purchase list this afternoon. Councilman Gilbert.
Yeah, I could not, and I sent the information to Tony. I couldn't open up the more information on it.
Mhm.
On the first two.
On which one? On which one?
The first two.
The first two. Okay.
Yes. If you can give me a brief information on that, because I couldn't get it last night.
Okay. Let me see if he's in attendance. Yeah. Miss Lydia, go ahead and bring Mr. Salmons on, please.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Salmons? There we go. Did you hear Councilman Gilbert's question, sir? I believe you're still muted.
All right, I think they got it.
That did.
Yes, I did hear his question. And the first item is our blanket contract for purchasing paper goods. That's going to be awarded to 3 vendors. Was there anything in particular, Councilman, that you were looking for?
I might be looking at it different, but I'll say Parks and Public Works Division on the first one. Do I have something different?
Parks and Public Works.
That's, yeah, Mr. Salmons, that's what we have.
It's 36.
I'm sorry.
Kubota.
I was looking at the wrong one. I apologize. I was on the wrong line. Yes, the first one is from the Parks Division, purchasing a piece of equipment, which is for specific types of cut. Was
So
there?
This is a lawnmower, basically a lawnmower?
Yes, piece of equipment, lawn equipment.
Okay, thanks. That's good. And the second one?
It's for the security guard services. It's looking at, let's see here. I'm trying to open that myself. The same concern you were having in trying to access that. I'm experiencing the same. So I'll make sure I get that to you before this evening.
Okay,
I'm just a lawyer for you here, but a skid steer is something other than a lawnmower. That is a grading device that would be involved. So it's 68-inch heavy duty on there. So it's a little bit bigger than a normal lawnmower.
okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yes.
Thanks, Phil. When I indicated that it was a piece of lawn equipment, of course, with that size, it would be of a larger, heavy usage.
Yeah, just let me know about the security. And Tony, when you find out who's receiving the services, what department,
list of-
what areas, right?
Right. The list of those areas, I'll provide that for you.
And is this a new contract or is this renewing an old contract?
No, this is a new contract. All the renewals would be on, of course, that second tab for renewing of what had already been approved.
Well, I just want to make sure. Okay, thank you, sir.
All righty.
All right, you good, Councilman?
Yes, sir.
All right, any other questions concerning our purchases for this afternoon?
I think a skid steer is a Bobcat, isn't it?
Basically.
Yeah.
Probably for brush cleanup or something like that. All right, council, if you would pull up next week's agenda and let me know if you have any concerns or questions about October the 6th.
Mr. Chair, we'll be going over Public Works and Transportation items a little bit later today.
Okay, for next week's agenda as well, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Chair, I'm sorry, I didn't put my hand.
Okay, Councilman.
Just briefly from someone from Public Works on the Public Works, Kate. Are we on Public Works today, Jerry?
Yes, we are.
Yes.
I asked a question there.
Okay.
All
All
right.
right, very good. All right, I see no other hands. If you would pull up your future considerations and see if there are any items there that causes you concern. Mainly, they're all economic and community development. One on finance. Councilwoman Coonrod.
Thank you, Chair. Finance. Is it possible that we council can get the resume of the appointment of the city treasurer? Because I don't want to, what happened this last time to happen this time. I want to already have the information about the individual from there. I don't want to be last minute.
I'm looking, okay, hold on.
It's on finance.
Miss Lydia, bring Miss Sullivan in, please.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chair, I haven't seen that resume either, so
Okay,
that's interesting. Yeah,
Same question. I'll lower my hand.
yeah.
good afternoon, Miss Sullivan.
Good afternoon, sir.
Council is wondering if we will see a resume before we have to vote on our new city treasurer.
You will. You don't have it yet. Of course, it's on the 3-week agenda, so it's not before you yet. The candidate, we are still in the process of some background checks before we bring the candidate actually to you. So as soon as we complete that, then we'll be getting the resume to you and setting up some time for you to meet the candidate. But our candidate is still employed at their job and does not want to have their candidacy known quite yet. So as soon as we finish the background information, we'll get that to you. We're just getting it in the queue to come to
Okay.
you.
Sure.
Yeah, thanks.
Councilwoman Burrs, I see you still have your hand up. Question?
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
You good?
I guess I am. I didn't know
Okay.
anything about it, but yes, I
Okay.
am.
Councilman Ledford?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Hey, Maura, is there any chance that we might be able to, once the resume is released and the timing is right, have a chance to talk with the candidate one-on-one before it comes to us on the agenda?
That's a great idea. I'd love to set that up.
Okay,
Thank you for-
fantastic.
Thank you for wanting to do that. Thank you. very much.
Absolutely, be my pleasure.
All right, Councilwoman Coonrod, another question?
Yes, thank you. That was a great idea, Ledford, and that was part of my next question, but I just want to make sure that the person in whoever is being chosen, that they're not gonna relocate to Chattanooga prior to us voting, so accepting the appointment. I just want to, can we keep that separate, make sure that they get the job or get the appointment before they move, if it's somebody that's moving from out of town? That's all I ask, because I don't want anybody's livelihood to be disrupted if council say, this is somebody that we don't want to choose, and the hardship of trying to find another job and all that kind of stuff.
I agree. That's why we have encouraged, thank you for that. That's why we've encouraged the candidate to proceed carefully. We are proceeding as carefully as possible. Of course, there is that timeline that we can't, that we can't do much about. So,
All right. Okay.
yes and no. Thank
Okay.
you for that concern. It's a real one.
All right, any other questions for Ms. Sullivan before we let her go? All right, I see no other hands. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
All right, Miss Lydia, you can excuse Ms. Sullivan.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I see no other questions about future considerations. We have no departmental report this afternoon. We do have two committees that we need to go through. We have Public Works and Transportation, and also Economic and Community Development. We will need an attorney-client privilege meeting this afternoon, so council keep that in mind as we're going through our committees this afternoon. With nothing else that need to be brought before the council at this time, I'm going to turn the chair over to Councilman Mitchell for our Public Work and Transportation committees.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. How about a minute approval?
Move to approve.
Second.
Anybody against that? Then they're approved. Thank you very much. We're going to start with Public Works. Hopefully we've got a short timer here today.
We have a Justin Holland.
That's the one. Hello, Mr. Holland.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, Council.
Hey,
Well,
Justin.
let's jump right into the agenda before we get to our comments, which I'm sure there'll be some comments to you. I'll be soliciting those after we get through with the Public Works part of the committee meeting agenda. We'll start with Tuesday, September 29th, resolutions. Please read 7K.
A resolution authorizing the approval of change order number 2 for Arcadis US relative to contract number W12027101, Friars Branch Pump Station Improvements for an increased amount of $334,476.45 for a revised contract amount of $1,791,529.20.
Councilman Gilbert.
Yes, Justin, I know this come up a couple of times with for this project. Can you tell me basically what are we putting a new pump in, or what we doing for $1,791,000?
Yes, sir. So this is, I believe this is part of our larger pump station, our Friars Branch project. I do have Bill Payne on the line. He can explain in greater detail, but insofar as the change order is involved, there were some deficiencies in the design, and I believe we had to send some of the components back to the manufacturer, some of the pump components. So these pump stations are enormous pieces of infrastructure that sometimes are they're 40 to 50 feet underground. They involve large transmission lines of the sewer interceptor system. So the change orders there are related to construction administration, resident project representation, and design elements for the infrastructure.
So this is not a new pump, it's just they're repairing the old pump.
This is right. So this is improvements to a pump station. This is a large a large underground facility that basically pumps wastewater throughout our system to ensure that it makes it from one place to another. These pump stations, there's about 80 plus pump stations throughout the city. This is one of our larger pump stations. Complex project. It is located near your district. I would be hesitant to say it's in your district. I'm just not familiar with that boundary. I didn't look that up. I believe it is, yes. So it indicates District 5, sir. So
Would this improve some of the issues we have in the Brainerd area?
So all of the consent decree projects that are part of this improvement would help us to eliminate sewer system overflows. And when you say some of the problems, I know that you and I have talked about stormwater problems and sewer system overflows. So this is specific to sewer system overflows that it would help resolve. But yes, sir.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Gilbert. Did I hear you say consent decree? Is this a consent decree?
This is part of a consent decree project. I don't believe it's indicated here, but it is part of a reliability project to improve Friars Branch.
Okay.
That interceptor system.
Thank you. Any more questions? Then we'll move to 7L.
A resolution authorizing the administrator for the Department of Public Works to award contract number P2003201 to Integrated Properties LLC of Chattanooga, Tennessee, Chattanooga Police Department Crime Scene Unit Facility Improvements in the amount of $414,000 plus a contingency amount of $40,000 for an amount not to exceed $454,000.
I see no questions. So we'll move right to next week, October 6th. Resolutions, please read 7E.
A resolution to amend resolution number 30155 for Clean Co-Construction of Tennessee Incorporated relative to contract number S15016-201 East Lake Park Water Quality Improvement Project to include the contingency amount of $110,594.34 for a revised amount not to exceed $2,440,368.52.
You okay? Oh, no, Councilman Oglesby.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Justin, does this closes out that project or what?
So I believe that this is the final change order. I'll circle back with Mr. Payne or Mr. Malone to make sure that this is the final change order for that project. But this is the construction contract. CleanCo was the contractor that built East Lake Park.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I know it's supposed, well, I just want to make sure that this thing is wrapping up financially.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you, sir.
Let me call you back right after this meeting.
Yeah, you can just shoot me a call. That'll be fine.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you. Is that good, Councilman Oglesby?
Yes, it is, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, we'll go to 7F.
A resolution authorizing the administrator for the Department of Public Works to enter into an agreement with Reflection Riding Arboretum and Nature Center for the development and implementation of growing resilient neighborhoods in order to jointly facilitate with the city the replanting of native trees following the devastation of the April 13th, 2020 tornadoes for a total budget amount of $25,535.
Councilman Ledford.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've got two questions. Number one, I'm assuming this will be entire citywide area that was devastated by the tornadoes. And number one, and number two, how would we get more information? $25,000 isn't probably going to cover all the trees that we lost through the tornado. So I was curious of how they might have picked them or which trees they're choosing to try and replace. It would be interesting if someone could get me just a little feedback offline. I'd be very interested. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Believe our water quality team can help you with that. Let me connect them with you
That's fine.
one-on-one so that you'll be able to answer questions for those folks in your district.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Chairman Henderson.
My question was along the same lines as if we had a map of where these trees would be replanted, relocated. I think I'd be interested in that as well.
Yes, sir. We'll pull that together, as much information as we can before you meet again next week. So you'll have that.
Sure. Thank you.
Can you get that to the whole council, Mr. Holland?
We'll pull together the process for, yes, sir. Whatever information that we have for this program, we'll pull together and submit to the council.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
All right. Seeing no more hands, we'll go to G.
A resolution waiving fees charged by the Land Development Office for peak attenuation control, TSS, and stormwater infiltration requirements for certain nonprofit, religious, educational institutions, and non-insured residential properties being redeveloped in any area in Chattanooga due to the Easter Sunday, April 12th, 2020 tornado damage, which will expire on or before December 31st, 2021.
Councilman Ledford.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We covered this in our legislative committee last week, and I really have nothing else other information to offer at this time, but do appreciate the support of the council. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no further hands, I believe that wraps up the agenda part of Public Works' presentation. Justin, I know this is a little bit out of turn. Usually the chair would wait till the end, but I'm just going to say you've been a heck of a partner for many years to me. And I'm greatly appreciative. And at this time, I would be glad to entertain other council people with words they might have. Councilman Henderson first, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Justin, I want to express my gratitude for all your hard work, how you've worked, particularly with me in District 1. Anytime we've had constituent needs, you and your crew have always addressed and taken care of their needs. And I appreciate mainly you leading as a team, and you've got a great team. And I think we're going to be in good hands. You're leaving us in good hands. I appreciate all your hard work and everything that you've done for us.
Thank you both.
Councilman Ledford.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Justin, I want to wish you the best of luck, first of all. I know it's probably a tough decision, but I understand it's also an amazing opportunity for you. You will be missed, and we appreciate you very much. I want to personally thank you recently for the attention that you and your department gave to the tornado ravaged area of District 4 by helping clean our streets so that we can start the process of recovery. We have been in contact with each other day and night, and you're always responsive. You're extremely professional. You're a hell of a guy, and I'm gonna miss working with you, but I echo Councilman or Chairman Henderson's sentiments, and that you've got a great team. I know that there is a great leader also willing, ready to step up, and but I want to wish you and your family the absolute best, and thank you so much for everything you've done for District 4 and our city.
Thank you, Councilman.
Was it really a hard decision?
It really was. Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. Councilperson Byrd.
Justin, you know I'm not good at the soundbite thing. I usually listen. We've spoken privately. I just want to say publicly, thank you. You're going to do a great job. Godspeed.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
Thank you, Councilperson. That was great. Councilperson Coonrod.
Thank you, Chair. Justin, man, it's a lot I can say. We started off kind of rocky, but I believe we built a great relationship that I believe that will be ongoing. You've always been helpful to me, even in the midst of me not liking you at first, but you always, been extending your hand of help. And I appreciate you for caring about, the things that I was concerned about and helping me to work through those issues and getting them addressed. I really appreciate you coming and taking a look in the areas that are most often forgotten about. That really meant a lot to me. And to see what you could do as a department head to, uplift that community and to help, keep it clean. Those things are very important to me, but it's nothing like, man, seeing a UTC alum, the cheerleader, they say, that's going to be leaving the city of Chattanooga. Although we know that that's not true, but I am very proud of you, and I have no doubt that where you land your feet, that you're going to do an exceptional job. And I will be keeping you in my contacts to lean on for anything in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
Thank you. Councilman Oglesby.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Justin, I just want to thank you for your service to our city. It has been a pleasure working with you since I've been on the council. Your professionalism, your energy, and your knowledge has been great. I just admire whatever we throw at you, you always got something to throw back. You don't catch it, you throw it back. And I really appreciate that. And you will be sorely missed. And I just want to once again thank you for the service you have given to this city and the friendship that we have established. And I will be, calling you from time to time, just to call and talk and chat. So God bless you, and the best of your new endeavor.
Thank you.
All right. Is there anyone else that would like to say something?
Mr. Chair, let me just say real quick. Justin, there's a lot I could say. I was chairman there for a while when you first took over, and Public Works, and I appreciated all of our ability to work together and everything that you had done, and the way that you took over that department from Lee Norris, which definitely were some seriously large shoes to fill, but you did it very, very, very well, and I appreciated that more than anybody at the time, for sure, because I wasn't exactly sure how things were going to go when that first got switched over. I was pretty confident, but it was better than I could have ever imagined. So good luck in everything. I know we'll be seeing you around. I don't believe you're moving. So now that you will no longer be the director of Public Works, though, I can go ahead and get Masters Road paved. So thank you from all of your neighbors.
Thank you, Councilman. Appreciate you.
All right. I see no more hands. Justin, congratulations, and see you on the flip side.
Yeah. Mr. Chairman, thank you. Thank you to all the council members. I've really enjoyed working with each one of you. I see many friends throughout the week. See Phil Noblet here. Everybody that I've worked with at the city has been wonderful. We have a tremendous team in Public Works. You're in great hands. Have no doubts for any of the team members that are preceding me. And I've really enjoyed my time with you all. Thank you to Mayor Burke. And I've really enjoyed serving our citizens, and being a Chattanoogan, I take that, that was a real honor to be able to serve at the highest capacity in Public Works, and Godspeed to our team and all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. If we're ready now, council, we will move to transportation. Who have we got today from transportation? Well, 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 Blythe baby. Oh, you got some daylight today, do you?
And a haircut.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I'm outside. It's nice outside.
Way to go. Great work. Great work being outside. We're going to start with the two resolutions for tonight. Let's start with 7M, please.
Resolution authorizing the administrator for the Department of Transportation to apply for and, if awarded, accept a Transportation Alternatives Program grant from the Tennessee Department of Transportation to construct the Midtown Pathway, with the city's portion not to exceed $440,000 for an amount not to exceed $2.2 million.
Wow, that's a lot of money for Midtown.
Don't you just love it?
Yeah, we deserve every penny of it.
Well, I don't see any questions, so I guess that this one will just slide right by for now. All right, let's go to 7N.
A resolution authorizing the administrator for the Department of Transportation to enter into an agreement with Integrated Properties LLC relative to contract number T20006201 for construction services associated with fiscal year 20 sidewalks in the amount of $1,080,627.55 with a contingency amount of $108,062.76 for a total amount of $1,188,690.31.
Councilman Ledford.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Hey, Blythe, is there a list you can send to us of where these projects are so we can pass it along?
I can, Mr. Councilman. There's 4 projects in this contract. And I'm
Okay.
happy to send them to you in an email, but I'll tell you what they are because I was
Sure.
anticipating that question. In fact, we probably should note the districts. This is a sidewalk on Midland Pike that connects to Moore Road that I have mentioned to Councilman Gilbert. I should say all of these projects are in our design queue, and I want to give kudos to our in-house designer who does a tremendous amount of work, and it saves the city a lot of money. These are all pre-designed, shovel-ready sidewalk projects that we've designed ourselves. So Midland Pike in the North Brainerd area is one of them. Sidewalks on Moss and Wilcox that connect existing sidewalk infrastructure to the Eastdale YFD Center that Councilwoman Coonrod knows about, and that's also partly in District 5 as well as District 9. Broad and 37th, I don't know if I have spoken with Councilman Oglesby about that project, but that is a project to clean up a very awkward and unsafe intersection at the intersection of Broad and 37th. And then Tremont and Fraser to repair a long overdue repair for crosswalks at that intersection in District 2. So these sidewalk projects will benefit District 2, 5, 7, and 9.
They got you, Councilman?
Yes, sir. Thank you much.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Blythe, for Fraser and Tremont also. That's been quite popular in the constituent calls over the last couple of years.
It's been in need of repair, and it was one of those things that we couldn't do with our crews because it's a specialty concrete.
Right. Okay, Councilperson Coonrod.
Thank you. Russell, I just want to say this one time, I'm gonna give you a pass to share that small portion of Eastdale with you. Thank you, Blythe.
Oh, thank you, Kumar, for your kindness. We've been asking about this for a while.
All right, great. All right, we're going to move on to next week. We have an ordinance first reading next week. Please read 6A.
An ordinance closing and abandoning the southernmost 50 feet of an unopened alley along the 1200 block of Highland Drive as detailed on the attached map, subject to certain conditions.
And Mr. Bailey, this is of course District 2, and I did get the information you sent me, and it made it very clear what's going on. So I'm gonna be in favor of this next week. We'll move on to resolutions 7H.
A resolution authorizing the administrator for the Department of Transportation to enter into an agreement with Shift Transit for operation of the Bike Chattanooga system on behalf of the city of Chattanooga for a 1-year renewal at no cost to the city per resolution number 29223.
I don't see any questions. Anything you want to say about it, Mr. Bailey?
I would like to reinforce, Mr. Chairman, that Shift Transit has been our operator for a couple of years. They were selected in a competitive process. They operate our public transit system free of charge to the city. They're able to operate it based on the revenues that they earn with memberships and one-time uses. So we're real pleased with the work that they do. This is a simple renewal.
Okay. All right, that sounds good. Anybody have any questions, general questions for Mr. Bailey? You going anywhere, Blythe?
I'm sorry, you broke up there in the middle,
I
Mr. Chairman.
said,
I'm
are
going
you
anywhere.
are you going anywhere? I mean, we just got rid of Mr.
Oh.
Holland, so
Well, no, sir. I can understand why Mr. Howland would say it was a tough decision. I love what I do, and I know Mr. Howland loves what he does. And since you asked, I'd like to just take an opportunity to say how much I've appreciated it. You all know We share this committee, and Justin has been a tremendous partner. I can say, when he called me and told me he was leaving, I asked if he was joking, because I have come to believe that Justin is the director of public works. It's hard to imagine anybody else in that role. He does a tremendous job. It's incredible to me the amount of work that he does and the things that he keeps up with. He's been very helpful to me. So I will greatly miss him. But no, sir, I'm not going anywhere.
All right. Well, you're doing an excellent job. That's good news. That's good news.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else for Public Works and Transportation? Thank you very much for your help, council. I will now, if it's okay with the chairman, turn it over to Economic and Community Development Chair Erskine Oglesby.
Please.
Thank you very much, Chair, Council. Now I call the Economic and Community Development Committee to order. Can I get approval of the minutes, please?
Second.
Okay, if there's no objections, we'll move on to resolutions, Madam Clerk. 7A, please.
A resolution authorizing the mayor or his designee to enter into a second agreement to exercise option to renew with Brian M. Cotter in substantially the form attached for lease of a house located at 324 Bass Road on tax map number 158 IC 021.01 and further identified as the Brown Acres Rental House in consideration of $800 per month and providing security services at Brown Acres and Brainerd Golf Courses for an additional term of 1 year.
Okay, excellent. Seeing no hands, no questions. Madam Clerk, let's now move on to 7B, please.
A resolution authorizing the mayor or his designee to enter into a third agreement to exercise option to renew with Chattanooga Goodwill Industries Incorporated in substantially the form attached for a portion of the property located at 1815 East Main Street, tax map number 156BD009 for an additional term beginning October 10th, 2020 and ending on April 30th, 2021 for the continued operation of programs through the Chattanooga Furniture Ring.
Excellent. Councilman Byrd, this is your district. You have any questions or concerns? Great. Thank you, sir. Now let's move on to 7C.
A resolution authorizing the mayor or his designee to execute the 8th Amendment to the Independent Contractor Agreement for Professional Services with Bright Bridge Incorporated related to the Environmental Protection Agency Revolving Loan Fund Grant for an additional 6-month term for administrative services and to authorize the mayor or his designee to execute documents related to the EPA Revolving Loan Fund.
Excellent. Now let's go on to 7D.
A resolution authorizing the mayor or his designee to enter into Amendment 1 in substantially the form attached to the Agreement for Animal Control Services between the City of Chattanooga and the Animal Care Trust, McCamey Animal Center, extending the current term through June 30th, 2022.
Thank you. Now please read 7E.
A resolution authorizing the administrator for the Department of Economic and Community Development to enter into a collaboration agreement and transfer funds from the Public Art Capital Fund to the Southeast Tennessee Development District for the Artists' Work COVID-19 Relief Program for artists and/or arts nonprofits to produce artworks for public spaces within the City of Chattanooga in the amount of $150,000.
Okay, let's continue on, Madam Clerk, with 7F. Well, hold on. I see Councilwoman Coonrod.
Thank you. How will the artists be selected to be a part of this program?
Okay, who do we have to answer that? Let me see, Donna or Maura? Let me see, who do we have?
We have Donna and Kat Wright with raised hands.
Okay, let's start out with Donna and then we'll do Kat Wright.
Yes, sir.
That's a good question, Councilwoman Coonrod. Thank you for that one. Okay.
Hello, Council. I didn't realize Kat was on. She is far more capable of responding to this.
Sure.
I think this is just a moving of the the funds, but the programmatic part of it, Kat can speak to that.
And we see her there. You just need to unmute yourself, Ms. Wright.
Sorry about that. I lost the connection for a moment. So just to clarify, the question is how the artists will be selected, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
We have a selection panel of individuals from, of course, Public Art, Arts Build, Set D, and then also individuals from the region, Athens Area Council, a couple of other individuals off the top of my head that are a part of arts and cultural leadership positions within the local region, as this particular artwork grant program is open to artists in the Thrive region, that 16 county, I believe it's 16 counties region. We anticipate hopefully a large number of applications. So we've enlisted individuals from fellow arts and culture organizations to select those particular grantings.
All right, thank you, Kat, for
You're welcome.
explaining it. Appreciate it.
Okay, does that answer your question, Councilwoman?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Okay, now let's move on to 7G.
A resolution authorizing Bright Bridge Incorporated to issue an Environmental Protection Agency revolving loan fund on behalf of the City of Chattanooga to SSP Lucy LLC for the redevelopment of the old Lucy boiler site located on South Holtzclaw Avenue in the amount of $480,000.
Okay, Councilman Ledford, and is that a new hand, Councilwoman Coonrod?
No.
Okay, Councilman Ledford.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was going to defer to Councilwoman Coonrod if she had anything first, since this is in her district.
Yeah.
And I don't have anything, just
Okay.
excited about the project.
Well, I echo that. I'm very excited for that project as well. Over there in District 9, I was wondering what the $480,000, Donna, if you could tell us maybe what that's earmarked for. Is it specifically directed towards a particular infrastructure improvement, or is it debris cleanup? Is there, maybe it's associated with any kind of environmental cleanup, capping?
Okay, we got.
Am I on?
Yeah, we got you, Ms. Williams.
Oh, yes, Councilman Leffert, it's a multi-million-dollar project, and this portion of it, this $480,000 is going to a portion of the cleanup that's required by the EPA.
Okay, that's what I thought. Great, fantastic project. Congratulations, Councilwoman Coonrod.
Yes. Okay, thank you, Councilman Ledford. If there's no further questions on that matter, let's now move on to Tuesday, October the 6th. Resolutions, we have one in look like District 3. Madam Clerk, let's read 7A for October the 6th.
A resolution authorizing the mayor or his designee to enter into a premises use agreement with Hickson Youth Athletic Association for the use of the athletic fields and associated buildings located at tax map numbers 100JA006, 100JA007.01, 100JA002.01, and 100JA005 for a term of 4 years.
Okay, I see one hand. Councilwoman Coonrod, is that?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I was trying to catch you before you read that. Not sure if we went over F.
F? I don't believe we did. Good catch, Councilwoman. Let's address this and then we'll circle back.
Okay, thank you.
I'm good, Chairman, on 7A.
Great, okay. Thank you, Vice Chair. Okay, let's move back, Madam Clerk, for the previous week and read 7F to get it in the record.
A resolution authorizing the administrator for the Department of Economic and Community Development to apply for and if awarded, accept an emergency solution grant for COVID funds from the Tennessee Housing Development Agency for approximately $375,000.
Okay. Councilwoman Coonrod.
Thank you, Chair. What all could those funds be used for exactly?
Thank you, Councilwoman Coonrod, for bringing us back to that. I know there's some excitement and some energy about this extra $375,000. I know we're excited about it. The ESG money is specifically for very low income citizens, and as the name suggests, it is for, well, you guys may not know, ESG stands for Emergency Solutions Grants. And so we have Sandra Gober, Tyler Yunt, and members of the SITCH Chattanooga Interagency Council on Housing has come up with what we would use the funds for to support the plan that they developed last year, I think it was. So part of it is, and I'm happy to send this to you all immediately following this, the specificity of it, but is to help households specifically with non-congregate housing. You know, typically what happens in the winter is that folks go to the community kitchen and other shelters and they're congregating together. So this money will allow us to come up with different methods for folks to have emergency shelter without being in a group setting such as that. And then also to help the very low income folks for which this money is designated from the federal government, help them pay their rent and utility so that they are not evicted during the pandemic.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, you good, Councilwoman?
I'm great. Oh, is it, can you send me like a link if this passes to where we can share with constituents how to contact you to get their application?
Oh yeah, the constituents would just contact Homeless Services, but I'm
Okay.
happy to send you this and include their number, the Homeless Services Division's number on here. Happy to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Oglesby, may I take a liberty here before you move on?
I'll agree to it, but it makes me nervous.
I know if you leaving, don't say it. Don't tell us.
No,
Go ahead, Donna.
I am staying until they cut the lights out. That's my plan. So I do, in all seriousness, want to humbly say what a pleasure it has been to work with Justin Holland, and I give him a lot of grief, like a big little brother. He has been an exceptional partner to me and my department and to this city, this whole council and to the city, and he will be missed. Those words don't sound meaningful and strong enough for the way I feel about having had the privilege of working with him. So I too join you in wishing him the best of luck. He's an exceptional guy, and I got to find somebody else big to pick on.
Thank you, Donna. Well said. Okay, that concludes this part of the Economic and Community Development Committee meeting. Now we will move on to a presentation regarding proposed short-term vacation rental legislation. I know we received the red line version as requested, so Phil, are you kind of heading this part up? Should we have any questions or get clarifications about those changes moving forward?
Be glad to. We tried to give you a copy of the document that we had prepared, and all changes are in blue on that document as to any changes that we had. This was helped to be prepared by Harold in my office and I. We were trying to rely on some of the, previous work that had been done by the city of Nashville in connection with this document. And that was one of the reasons that we were adding it. It was requested by Councilwoman Coonrod initially here, and that's one reason her concern was over the aspect of owner-occupied versus non-owner occupied units. And that is the reason for the changes that we made. As you can see, the definitions of owner-occupied and what is included, it's an owner-occupied residence or on a lot with an adjacent owner-occupied residence. We have certain portions of the city that actually allow ADUs, adjacent dwelling units on there that would apply for those lots as well. and it involves the rental of someone where the person is available for that unit on the property. Definition of non-owner occupied has also been beefed up a little bit to reference what is not owner occupied or on a lot with an owner principal residence right next door. So that's the way that it is defined currently in the proposed language that we have added. And we did that in connection with the provisions of what was available in the Nashville ordinance that we were looking at when we were trying to look at this. The provisions of the code at this point in time allow someone who is owner occupied to be able to get a rental certificate anywhere within the short-term rental district in the city. Non-owner occupied units, according to this ordinance, would not be issued for any new certificates for non-owner occupied rentals after a specific date, and this council would have to decide on when that date would be. It would be allowed in the city within the short-term vacation rental district only if there had been a previous certificate issued that was in compliance with the law, and if it continued to be renewed annually by the property owner that had it before a certain time. It would not be able to be passed on to a new property owner. And I guess that would be the point of contention that y'all might have as to whether that's something in the city that would deny someone the ability to sell a short-term vacation rental unit here to another new owner. But those are the principal provisions that we put into the ordinance at this point in time, and willing to answer questions on that. That was the request that we had initially.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions for clarification, or Councilman Mitchell? Please, sir.
Thank you. I have a question for the LDO folks, but I'll start with my question for our attorney. Attorney Noblitz, what is the original version of the law say about multi-family units, about how much can become short-term vacation rentals, and what does the new one change it at all, or is it just going to be the same?
The new one doesn't change the version as to how many units in a multi, family dwelling could occur. It says that no person shall be able to possess more than 2 short-term rental certificates for non-owner occupied premises in a multi-family dwelling. So there could only be 2 by one person. I guess the LDO folks could say that there could be multiple people in there that might have 2 within that structure. And that might be one question as to whether you wish to continue to have that. But right now, that's what the provisions are. And that has been the provision since December of 2019 when the last amendments were made.
So there is no limit on the number of units other than the number of individuals that might get together and say, we want to have something that we bought be a non-owner occupied STVR.
They could only have 2 in a multifamily dwelling if they did that. Yes, sir.
Well, let's say there's 5 owners and it's a 10 unit multifamily dwelling. All 10 of those could be STVRs?
I don't think so. I think if that person has an ownership interest in it, that would be a problem. And you have to list who the owners are on the structure within a building. That I think would be the problem, but that might be something we need to tweak.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, sir. Chairman Henderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I guess my question would be maybe to the entire council, maybe to Councilwoman Coonrod, instead of trying to just outright ban non-owner occupied, I think there are places in the city of Chattanooga that these are entirely appropriate. I think there's other areas that are not appropriate. We have a mechanism in place where we can, as a council, decide whether it's appropriate or not appropriate. And just to outright ban every non-owner occupied seems to go back to the old saying, one size fits all. We're going to make everybody comply, or everybody have to go under the rule of banning all non-owner occupied. It does cause me a little bit of a concern to just start prohibiting a whole element of this vacation rental. I think it could cause some concerns down the road. I mean, I would like to hear, you know, the reasoning behind just banning them as opposed to looking at them case by case, making a decision to see if they're appropriate. You know, maybe one of the things that we want to look at, instead of just banning them entirely, might look at density or ratio rather than just an outright ban. It does cause me a little bit of concern to just outright ban a whole segment of the vacation rentals. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Councilman Ledford, I believe you are next.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This question is for Phil. Phil, the way it's written right now, the ordinance, each district can choose whether or not the short-term vacation rentals are applicable in their districts. Is there any reason to keep us from allowing or writing legislation that does the same for banning non-owner occupied in a specific district? If it's up to us as an individual, whether our districts are in or out, could it be a district has that component not allowed? Does that make sense?
Well, I think so. Yes, sir. The aspect of where short-term rentals are allowed in the city are only within the short-term vacation rental district, and that has been expanded to include certain portions of several districts right now. There are some districts it does not go into at all. So that is there. At this point in
Thankfully,
time.
yes.
Yes, sir.
Thankfully, yes.
So unless you expand it to go into your district, it would not be applicable to you. Right now, we've only got a defined area of the city that it goes to.
I'm not sure if I need
I don't think you answered his question.
I'm not sure. Let me reel it back in and throw it back out and see what I get.
Yes.
Is there a way to allow the councilwoman to eliminate that component of short-term vacation rentals in her district, just as we choose to have them or not have them?
I'm not sure, because we've specifically allowed them to occur within what we've created as a map of the short-term vacation rental district. If you start developing incremental rules based upon political boundaries, I think you get into more of a problem when you start that. I think that what we've got, at least by creating an area of the city that they are allowed in, is defensible. I'm not sure about that when you start separating it out amongst political designation districts.
Okay. I would add that I can see where the concerns, and I can see where the concerns are coming from, because I saw them probably 3 years ago, and now they're here in regards to housing stock and how that might be affected by investors, especially large investors, even out of town investors, soaking up our housing opportunities. So I see where this is going, and I see what the concern is. I have further questions, but I'll stop there. Phil, thanks for the answer. Thank you, Chairman.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you, Councilman Ledford. Councilman Byrd.
Thank you, Chair. It's kind of hard for me to understand the emotional ties that's tied to this whole short-term vacation rental, especially in the world based on capitalism. It's hard for anyone to control the free market. Me doing real estate myself, I can purchase a house anywhere in this community that's for sale, especially in District 8. And I don't have to rent it for $500, $800. I can rent it for $5,000 a month I want to. That doesn't mean someone is going to rent it out, but I still can rent it for how much I want. So to put that element and make it so strong on our housing market being soaked up due to short-term vacation rentals, it's kind of hard for me to accept that part, and to see, especially in District 8, the houses that have been dilapidated for so long, they look great when short-term vacation rental owners come in. I would like to see definitely a list before I decide to ban them all. I would like to see a list of these non-owner occupied houses that are in horrible situations. I would like to see even some type of layout to say that we can make people that come in and buy them, even though they're not on short-term vacation rentals, we can make that person that purchased this house, make that house affordable, because land we know now is at an all-time high. So just because a person purchases a piece of land, he still or she doesn't have to make it affordable. So those kind of things pull on emotional strings, and it's hard to associate it with this. But then when I look at just that broad blanket of throwing it over all the district, like in Madison, off of Main Street, they told me as their council person, they don't want any more non-owner occupied. So anything that come in front of me, I have the ability to say no, and hopefully my colleagues will back that up, because the community has told me they don't want any more. And I think it's more of a case-by-case basis. And if we definitely in tune with the community and they say they don't want this on their street or in their community, or it's too saturated, we still have the ability to say no instead of just shutting the whole city down. So that's where I stand. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilman Byrd. Councilman Mitchell, I see your hand again.
Yes, thank you. This would be for, it could be, if Donna can answer the question, but it might be Caleb or someone else from the LDO that would answer the question. I'll tell you what my question is. And I think they sent out the spreadsheets of how many non-owner occupied, how many occupied, how many have applied, how many are pending, how many. And the one word that I question is, there's a word there called expired. And I want to ask somebody about that word expired. And I'm just wondering who that would be.
Okay, Madam Clerk, who do we have?
Somebody raising their hand.
We have Donna Williams raising her hand. Did you want me to bring her in?
Yes, please.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
Sure. She's on her way.
Lydia, you're going to get tired of me raising my hand, only to tell you that Charlie Young, our Assistant Director of the Land Development Office, is available to answer that question.
I'll go get him.
That's progress.
Oh, you just wanted to come back on.
Yeah.
You see him,
There he
Lydia?
is.
He's there? Okay, great.
Good afternoon, council.
Hey,
Good
Charlie,
afternoon, Charlie.
did you hear my question?
I think I understood the question. You're asking about the number of short-term vacation rental certificates that have expired. Is that what I understood it to be?
Yeah, I just want to, like, I see the number that have expired, but I want to know what that exactly means, because they're still on the list. Do we just keep everybody on the list even if it's expired? How are you all handling the list itself?
Well, the spreadsheets that we shared with you are internal spreadsheets that we keep for our documentation only. So if we have them identified as expired, we have reached out to those STVR applicants stating in a letter that your certificate has expired, you need to apply for renewal. And we have never received a renewal request or never had any contact with that applicant saying we would like to continue operating a short-term vacation rental. So if we have them under the term of expired, that means they originally applied, they were approved, they have paid for 1 year, but they never paid after that individual certificate had expired.
So as a council person looking at the people in the district, if expired is by that STVR number, then you might as well say that's not a legal entity.
You're exactly right, sir.
Okay, so as the way I was looking at this is, let me see what we have in District 2. And then, I think I've said before, I'd be willing to entertain if we want to have a certain number and what's that number. And then when we get to that number, then maybe we say, okay, no more available. I've said I'm willing to entertain that conversation. I've also said I'm willing to entertain some other conversations, but two things. One, it doesn't look like in District 2, for the size of District 2, or at least the size of the district, the STVR district within District 2, we have a overwhelming number. And I guess number 2 would be, I can't, and since the discussion started, I have not received one single email that I can remember that says we would like to support this effort to ban non-owner occupied. As a matter of fact, just the opposite. I've received many that have said, please don't do that. So that's just a comment on top of the question. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilman Mitchell. Council Chairman Henderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Charlie, I received the database. I guess what I had asked for, and I don't know if you have it, is a map with all the locations. And if you sent it, I apologize. I must have overlooked it. I did receive the database. Is there a map, or did you send us a map, maybe by district, of where owner occupied as well as non-owner occupied are located? I mean, I would sort of like to look at, how these are dispersed and where they are.
Yes, we do have a map. One of our in-house land development office, in-house IT guys created a GIS layer that reflects all the owner occupied and non-owner occupied STVRs. Actually, Caleb's in here with me now, and I'm asking him to resend that map out to all council members.
Did you send it before or prior? I might have missed it, but
yeah, Caleb had sent it out, but I'm sure you all get so many emails, it's easily overlooked. So we are resending it now. If you have any problems or any questions with it, feel free to reach out to Caleb or myself, and we'll help you to navigate it.
okay. And Mr. Chair, one of the things I'd like to echo what Councilman Mitchell said. I have not received any emails in support of this new legislation, but quite the opposite. Many emails in opposition to an outright ban of non-owner occupied STVRs. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Chairman. Councilman Coonrod.
Thank you, Chair. Well, I've had both in support and also, not supporting it. But I think that it's our job to make sure that we're looking out for our districts to see, what's best fit, what shouldn't continue to operate or not, because we're in a communist economy, right? And that's what we do. Government plays a role in deciding how much of something that it is. So therefore, it can't be any emotional ties to the short-term vacation rental. We're not in a free competition to where people can do whatever without government interference, right? Although we, the capital society that Anthony Byrd mentioned, like it's determined by the free market and supply and demand. That's why we have so many people selling drugs, because they feel like they can keep up with that. But this is about short-term vacation rental. I do think we should take a look at the number of short-term vacation rentals that's operating in the multi-units, because we've seen how we gave a pilot to an organization and they turned a number of those units into short-term vacation rentals. We should look at those things. Now, the part of the legislation, as I've mentioned time and time again, is that Nashville looked at the saturation of the areas. They looked at the census data, they looked at the ratio, they looked at the density, and they made their decision based on those areas. So I agree with Councilman Henderson that we need to take a look at that aspect of it, not just fully ban them out 100%, but let's take a look at the saturated areas. My area is saturated because we're not, in my opinion, we don't have citywide, which is fine. So people are gonna draw to the areas that are closer to downtown, which is 7, 8, and 9. in the closer areas. We are losing a lot of housing stock, in my opinion, to a lot of outside developers who are coming and purchasing. Is it a way that we can say you need to reside in the city of Chattanooga and to operate a non-owner occupied home? This isn't about trying to control people finances, because I've heard calls about, well, we're in COVID, how can we stop people money? COVID isn't stopping people money that's in the short-term vacation rental industry. It's just not happening. And I pulled the numbers from the census data, and actually the short-term vacation rentals in our city are actually just 1%. We have 89,597 homes in the city of Chattanooga. 79,565 are occupied, 39,084 are owner, and 40,481 are renter properties. So if we're continuing to add to, we can't control, we'll always have affordable housing. It's a misconception on what that is when it comes to certain communities. Because when we talk about the area of Eastdale, people say it's not affordable, but what they're looking for is low income housing. We're in 2020 and we can't continue to have our neighborhoods that are very impoverished to have just strictly low income housing. That's not beneficial to any community. There's no way that it's possible for those communities to thrive. And it's not just Eastdale, it's other communities as well. But I think we need to take a different look, a different approach, maybe land development with their enforcement. Maybe we can look at creating legislation around, vacant lots or homes that people are just leaving vacant and idle that become eyesores. There's a lot of things, different approaches that we can take that other states are leaning towards and doing, and we just have to be progressive enough to want to do that. Again, it's not about keeping people from making money with their property. I'm for that. I support that. I understand the supply and demand. I understand hardships, but we have to take a look at these areas that are highly saturated, and that's all I'm asking council to do.
Okay, thank you, Councilwoman. Council Chairman Henderson, I see your hand.
Thank you again. Charlie,
sir.
is there a way to get a list, and I'd like it to go to the whole council, but a list of all of the non-owner occupied by district and how much housing is in each district? In other words, how many houses there is, as opposed to how many non-owner occupied houses.
I can clearly send out a list of the non-owner occupied in each district, but to get the number of available housing in each district, I would have to rely on someone from GIS to help me pull that data.
Okay.
But we can compile a list and send to the whole council of the number, according to each district, the number of non-owner occupied short-term vacation rentals. Yes.
I mean, I'm looking at a map right now, and thank you, Caleb, for sending that. I'm looking at a map now, and I mean, as far as saturation, I'm not seeing it, but that may be a discussion for another day. But if we could get just maybe I would be interested in knowing how many non-owner occupied rentals we have in each district within the overlay.
We will get that information out to all the council members.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Great, thank you. Okay, are there any other questions? Okay, from my perspective, what I'm hearing, we need to have some more discussion on this matter. Is that what I'm hearing, or what is next steps?
I think we need more discussion at this time, Councilman.
Okay.
Chair.
So we'll schedule a follow-up to this, like in a few weeks. Is that agreeable to you, Mr. Chairman?
Absolutely.
Okay, we'll get the information out there to exactly what we need. Make sure we have the maps and the data, so we'll have something to base our decision on. And I'll get with you, Mr. Chair, and with Economic and Community Development on a timeline to make that happen, if that's agreeable to you and the council.
That sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, well, Wait a minute, I see Councilwoman Coonrod.
Thank you, Chair. I was just gonna
Councilman
add
Mitchell.
that the census on census.gov, you can go on there and you can map out. You can see how many houses are in a specific area. I lean on the census, that data often, when I'm pulling up information, so that could be a helpful tool if anybody want to go on there and just check out the number of houses, and it breaks it down to who all renting, who all are homeowners in that area as well.
Okay, great information. Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Mitchell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, actually, Councilwoman Coonrod touched on something. I would like to have a feeling of when we get together again, what are we going to have information now? We've got maps now. We've got the numbers on spreadsheets, and what Councilperson Coonrod just brought up would be something very helpful if we want to craft something that we could all get on board with. I would just like to be a little bit more clear exactly what kind of information we need as a council to push this forward, whatever this is.
Okay, thank you, Councilman. We'll make that happen. Any other questions or comments regarding this matter?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, Councilman Byrd.
Yeah, I think this has been a very thoughtful discussion, and I understand what Councilwoman Coonrod is saying. This is a question for Phil, I guess. Phil, do we not have the power right now to say something, to say no to a non-owner occupied in the city?
Yes, ma'am. Every time there is a certificate coming up that goes in front of you there, it is coming before this body, and y'all make a determination of whether it is appropriate based upon the location that is there.
All right.
Hopefully, we're also complying on the grounds for that based upon the ordinance that you have. It can't be just a situation where you're just saying we're going to deny one and approve another one. It's got to be based upon the grounds you set out in the ordinance.
So if no one complains, then it's an automatic pass?
No, ma'am. It's still got to meet the requirements that we have in our code for a certificate to be issued.
Okay, and I know that. However, could one of the instead of just, wholesale getting rid of them, could one of the qualifications be that we look at saturation?
Sure, that's something that you could clearly add.
So couldn't we get, in other words, right now, we don't really look at them unless it's for, if they've met all the administrative criteria, then the only time we really look at them is if someone complains or doesn't like it. Why couldn't we, because Councilwoman Coonrod and Councilman Byrd had some good points, and that is, why couldn't we add to that criteria that the council person could then take off on if they feel that that's important or impacting the quality of their area? Couldn't it be done more simply?
I believe you could do that as long as they are standard uniform requirements that everyone that's
across the
applying
board
have to meet. And you have currently under 11.5.12 minimum standards for short-term rentals on there. And I think you could include it in that section if that's what you would like to.
So actually, what is of concern in a variety of areas of my colleagues, I've heard available housing, I've heard saturation, I've heard neighborhoods, I've heard all of that. I'm wondering if we shouldn't be looking at crafting some additional criteria to be considered. Now, obviously, they have to meet all the administrative criteria, but couldn't we add then some other for public welfare criteria that could apply anywhere?
As long as it could apply anywhere in the city, I don't see a problem with that, no.
Thank you. I would ask that maybe Councilman Mitchell, to answer your question, that we might want to add some of those kind of criteria. Councilman Henderson has mentioned saturation. He doesn't see it in his area. So if something were to come up and one of the criteria were saturation, it would be up to him to say, you know, I don't see saturation. I don't see neighborhoods changing. I mean, whatever those criteria are. And then, as Councilman Byrd said, we could follow his lead. I think we could be a little more thoughtful about this, and it could be a win-win. Just tossing it out there, guys.
Okay. Thank you, Councilwoman Byrd. We'll take all this information under consideration. And Phil, you got a pretty good handle on what we've discussed here this afternoon.
Yes, sir.
Let's come up with a revised, another red line version and submit it to the council for review. We'll go from there, and then we'll develop a time where we can have another ECD meeting with the chairman's approval and get this thing wrapped up sooner rather than later.
Sure. Yes, sir.
Okay, that's okay with you, Mr. Chairman?
That's great. Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay. I don't see any more hands, so with that being the case, Mr. Chairman, we can adjourn. I know we have attorney-client, so we are adjourned for the attorney-client, but we'll be back as a council at 6 o'clock.
Okay.
See you in a few minutes, y'all.
Mr. Vice Chair, if you would start a attorney-client meeting immediately following this adjournment.
Will do. See everybody back.
Thank you.